Welcome to this lesson in which we take a step ahead after the viral diseases, and now we talk about the various diseases caused by bacterium. Yes, let's talk about in detail bacterial diseases. Yes. Again, the same way in which we talked about viral diseases, we will talk about bacterial diseases in the same way. That is, we will talk about name of the disease in similar chart format rather. We will talk about the disease, then talk about what is it caused by, who causes it, or how is it spread. Yes, and then we talk about what happens in this case. Correct? Thus, let's begin with making the chart for bacterial diseases. Yes, let's start by the first ever bacterial disease in the list, that is tuberculosis. Abbreviated as TB. This problem of tuberculosis is caused by a bacterium called Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and this is an airborne disease. Thus, it spreads through droplets, that is through the sputum of the infected person. When the person having TB sneezes very badly, coughs very badly, or talks very loudly, small droplets come out from the person's body carrying the particular disease bacterium, that is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And what happens is, you get symptoms like excessive coughing for more than 3 weeks, blood in the sputum and all. But here the target organ is usually lungs. Yes, lungs get affected, and it's not only lungs all the time, other organs like bones and all can also have infection of TB, but usually TB occurs in lungs. Yes, after TB, let's talk about the next one, that is usually found commonly in children, disease called as diphtheria. Diphtheria again caused only in children, exclusively in children rather. Yes, that is caused when children have lots of coughing. Yes, they cough a lot because their throat from inside gets inflamed. Yes, and that is how it spreads. When these children cough loudly, when these children have loud talking or all, small droplets will come out from their body causing diphtheria in other small kids. Yes, so usually they have infectious fluid coming out of their body. Spreads through fluid from body when they cough loudly, when they sneeze loudly and so on. Caused exclusively in children, it gives them bad throat. Yes, throat which gets affected, it gets inflamed, it gets red and swollen from inside. That's the reason why they have constant coughing. Yes, next in the list will be whooping cough. As the name says, whooping cough means they have lots of coughing in a complete typical whooping manner. Yes, so whooping cough is again caused by the cough which is loud enough, as a result of which tiny droplets spread from one person to another. So you have droplets. In this you get the problem of coughing. Yes, very badly with a peculiar sound, and hence it is whooping cough. Yes, one type of peculiar sound which makes this happen. After whooping cough, let's try talking about another severe disorder or disease called as pneumonia. Yes, pneumonia again caused by a bacterium which is spread through air. So, it is spread through air when a person sneezes or usually coughs very badly, what happens is, again, the target here is lungs. Lungs get filled with water. Yes, filled with water. As a result of which, there is exclusive amount of running nose, cold, breathing problems and so on in the case of pneumonia. Very extremely bad for children. If children have pneumonia, it's too bad for their health. In fact, pneumonia is bad for adults also. It can turn lethal also, but in case of children, it is very severe. After pneumonia, let's talk about the last one in the list, that is cholera. Caused by the bacterium Vibrio Cholerae, right? Vibrio Cholerae has a typical nature of spreading through contaminated water. Yes, it's a waterborne disease, contaminated water. If you cook food with this contaminated water, it will spread through the food because you have used that water for cooking. So, contaminated water is the medium of spread for cholera. What happens in this? The target organ for cholera is your intestines. So, if it's intestines which are targeted, what will happen? Intestines will give rise to, problem of the intestine will give rise to watery stools, it will give rise to vomiting, it will give rise to all the problems related to nutrition and digestion in humans, correct? So, all these problems affect human body in some or the other way. This was all about the bacterial diseases that we talked about. We talked about tuberculosis, that is TB, spread through air or the droplets. Then we talked about diphtheria, that is usually found to be having inflammation of the throat in children. We talked about whooping cough, spreading through droplets and people having a peculiar sound in case of whooping cough, correct? Then we talked about pneumonia, that is spreading of the disease through air and which helps in filling of water in the lungs. And lastly, we talked about cholera. This was all about bacterial diseases. Now, let's meet up in the next lesson where we talk about several diseases caused by fungi, various types of fungus and several types of molds. Thank you.